Our journey continues here in Jerusalem with a search for the Ark of the Covenant.
For over 3,000 years, the Ark of the Covenant has remained one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries, a sacred object said to hold unimaginable power, a relic so dangerous, legends claim entire armies fell simply by standing too close to it. But what if scientists finally opened it, and what they discovered inside was far worse than anyone could have imagined? Ancient texts warned that the Ark was never meant to be touched. Kings feared it. Priests approached it only under strict rituals. Some believe it carried the very presence of God. Others think it concealed something far more terrifying, a forgotten technology, a deadly force, or a truth humanity was never supposed to uncover. Then came the shocking investigation that changed everything. What researchers claim they found has sparked fear, controversy, and endless debate around the world. Was the Ark merely a religious symbol, a powerful ancient artifact, or did opening it unleash something modern science still cannot explain? Stay with us, because the answer is absolutely horrifying. Throughout religious history, few things rival the mystery surrounding the Ark of the Covenant. It served as a tangible sign of God's presence among His people and embodied His promise to them. Safeguarded in the holiest of holies within Jerusalem's temple, it played a pivotal role in their worship and rituals. Constructed by Bezalel, the chief architect, the Ark was a wooden chest overlaid with gold, housing the stone tablets of the commandments. It was designed to withstand the harsh conditions of the wilderness. Its dimensions were approximately 111 centimeters by 67 centimeters by 67 centimeters. The inside and outside were layered with pure gold, symbolizing God's glory and holiness. The Ark's cover, known as the mercy seat, held two golden cherubs representing God's heavenly throne. It was here that God spoke to Moses, giving instructions to the Israelites. The mercy seat was also where the high priest made atonement for the people's sins. Inside the Ark were the tablets of the commandments, a pot of manna containing the miraculous food provided in the wilderness, and Aaron's budding rod, symbolizing his appointment as high priest. These items reminded the Israelites of God's faithfulness and miracles. Due to its sacredness, only designated Levite priests could handle or approach the Ark. Housed within the tabernacle, a specially constructed tent according to God's meticulous instructions, the Holy of Holies, a chamber within the tabernacle, housed the Ark and was accessible only once a year during the Day of Atonement. The high priest conducted a ritual involving blood on the mercy seat atop the Ark, signifying reconciliation between God and the people. The sanctity of the Ark came with severe consequences for mishandling. Uzzah, attempting to stabilize the Ark on a cart, lost his life as a result. Similarly, the Philistines faced dire consequences as they were afflicted with diseases until they returned the Ark to its rightful place. The Ark, with its cherubim-adorned lid known as the mercy seat, symbolized forgiveness and divine communication. It played a crucial role in religious rituals, emphasizing the importance of atonement for sins. In the Hebrew Bible, the last mention of the Ark is in 2 Chronicles 35:3, recounting King Josiah's temple restoration efforts. Beyond this point, its fate becomes a mystery, prompting various theories about its destiny. What caused the mysterious disappearance of the Ark, and where did scientists finally find it? There are a lot of theories explaining this, and we will unravel them one after the other. A prevailing belief suggests its destruction when the Babylonians conquered Jerusalem in 586 BCE. Historical accounts mention Babylonians looting the temple's treasures, leading many to speculate that they might have destroyed or confiscated the Ark. However, crucially, the Ark isn't documented among the items taken by the Babylonians in several biblical references, casting doubt on this theory. Another intriguing idea suggests the Ark's transportation to Ethiopia by Menelik, King Solomon, and Queen Sheba's son. Ethiopian history and folklore contain stories claiming Menelik secretly spirited the Ark from Jerusalem to a temple in Axum, safeguarded by monks. The belief is that the Ark resides in the Church of St. Mary of Zion in Axum, Ethiopia, purportedly taken there by Menelik, King Solomon, and Queen Sheba's son. Stories from Ethiopian texts like the Kebra Nagast narrate Menelik's journey and assert that the Ark remains safeguarded by a lineage of priests within the church. Ethiopian customs, such as displaying replicas of the Ark during Timkat, which is a significant Ethiopian Orthodox Christian holiday, and the historical presence of Jewish communities like the Beta Israel, suggest a long-standing connection between Ethiopia and the Ark's narrative. Some Ethiopian rulers even claimed lineage from Solomon and Sheba, using this connection to legitimize their reign. These intertwined historical narratives lend complexity to the quest for the Ark's true whereabouts and significance. However, historical or archaeological evidence validating Menelik's existence or his relocation of the Ark remains absent. There's an adventurous twist to these theories, though. An Adventist explorer claimed to have found the Ark, but alas, this account lacks substantiation, leaving the Ark's whereabouts shrouded in mystery. A captivating Jewish tradition proposes that King Josiah foresaw Jerusalem's fall, concealing the Ark and sacred artifacts beneath the Temple Mount, sealed by a stone inscribed for the eyes of the awaited Messiah alone. Some biblical passages seemingly support this narrative, suggesting the Ark remained within the temple's confines during its destruction. References in the Bible indicate the Ark remained within the temple during its destruction, aligning with the narrative in 2 Chronicles 35:3, where King Josiah directs the Levites to place the Ark within the temple, implying that it wasn't there previously. Additionally, historical texts from Jeremiah and Ezekiel hint that God's glory departed from the temple before its ruin, possibly implying the Ark's departure or concealment. Archaeological and historical evidence supports the presence of unexplored chambers and tunnels beneath the Temple Mount. In various instances, attempts to access these uncharted areas sparked controversy. For example, in 1981, a group tried to destroy the Dome of the Rock, claiming they found a tunnel leading to the Ark's hidden chamber. Opening an old cave door in 1996 led to riots amid suspicions that Israel aimed to access the Ark or harm Muslim structures above. Furthermore, assertions from programs like the Exodus Decoded have claimed evidence of hidden passageways potentially linked to the Ark. While the notion of the Ark remaining concealed beneath the Temple Mount is intriguing, it faces substantial skepticism and criticism. Many scholars contest this theory, citing its reliance on myths and conjectures without solid historical or textual substantiation. Beyond this, various conjectures exist about the Ark's fate. Moreover, the religious and political significance of discovering or exhibiting the Ark today remains uncertain. Both Judaism and Christianity have endured centuries without its physical presence. Stirring the pot by attempting to locate the Ark could potentially incite conflicts among Jews, Christians, and Muslims, each laying claim to Jerusalem's holy sites. Some experts, however, turn to sources like the Dead Sea Scrolls in pursuit of the lost Ark. The Copper Scroll, a standout among these scrolls, intrigues scholars due to its unique metal medium listing 64 locations of buried treasures. Some speculate that this wealth, hidden before the Babylonian invasion in 586 BCE, might include items from Jerusalem's temple, possibly even the Ark. Remarkably, the Copper Scroll suggests the Ark's potential location near the Dead Sea, particularly close to Qumran, near a place referred to in the Book of Joshua as the Valley of Achor, or Door of Hope. The valley initially symbolized judgment stemming from Israel's misdeeds, highlighting Achan's wrongful appropriation of sacred items. Interestingly, the term Achor translates to disaster, linking it to dire consequences. In the 1980s, an amateur researcher and Seventh-day Adventist named Ron Wyatt made headlines by claiming he discovered the Ark of the Covenant. His story, captivating yet contentious, unfolded on January 6, 1982, when he alleged finding the Ark and the Ten Commandments buried beneath Jerusalem's ancient ruins. According to Wyatt, the Ark rested precisely where Jesus of Nazareth was crucified, a location foretold in the Bible. The journey began with an altar stone protruding from a cliff. The stone is believed to be remnants of an early Christian church, possibly dating back to the 1st century AD. For Wyatt, this stone served as a marker signaling the significance of the site. Further exploration revealed 4 holes in the stone believed to be where the Romans positioned wooden crosses for crucifixions. Including the one holding Jesus, Wyatt claimed one hole slightly higher marked the location of the thief crucified alongside Jesus. At the heart of Wyatt's claim lay a square-cut stone acting as a plug within a cross hole. Removing this stone revealed a crack in the rock, which Wyatt associated with biblical references to rocks being torn apart in grief. Delving deeper into a network of old caves, Wyatt asserted the discovery of the Ark of the Covenant within one of these caverns. In an interview with Anchorstone International in 1999, Wyatt recounted a peculiar observation. A dark substance dried in a crack above the Ark. He connected this substance to the centurion's act of piercing Christ's side, suggesting that blood and water might have dripped onto the Ark's mercy seat. This he likened to Moses sanctifying the Israelites' promise with blood and water on the 10 Commandments. Wyatt claimed to have photographic evidence of his findings, yet alleged divine interference prevented their disclosure. He supposedly encountered angelic beings on a return visit, indicating that the world wasn't ready to witness these discoveries firsthand. Even after Wyatt's assertions and documentation attempts, including photos and movies, his evidence faced challenges, as he claimed God obstructed their exhibition. Despite the skepticism and disapproval from biblical scholars and leaders in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, his findings have sustained interest in biblical archaeology. Beyond the Ark, Wyatt asserted uncovering over 100 biblical relics, including Noah's Ark remnants, stones from its anchor, the tombs of Noah and his wife, the Tower of Babel site, and even Jesus' blood in a fissure caused by an earthquake. However, skepticism loomed large, with leaders within his own church dismissing his claims. To confirm Wyatt's claim, some explorers even took it upon themselves to visit Jerusalem. When they got to Jerusalem, they were led to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where they explored
Jeremiah's
the tomb.
prophecy in Maccabees.
To the left of
He
the
hid
entrance,
some
they
sacred
found
items
a
in a
broken
cave
iron
and
shaft.
sealed them up, waiting for God to reveal them in due time. Now here's where it gets intense. Wyatt claimed that during Christ's crucifixion, when the earth shook and the rocks split, a crack formed in that very cliff, extending down to a spot about 20 feet below. The Ark of the Covenant was down there, situated just right to catch a bit of Christ's blood that flowed through the crack when the centurion pierced his side. When Wyatt found the Ark, it wasn't just sitting there like a forgotten relic. It was placed against the cave wall with this beautiful crystal at the end of the cave sparkling like a rainbow. Wyatt also said he encountered 4 angels in that cave, claiming they'd been looking after the Ark since the days of Moses. They even told him to record everything. They lifted the lid of the Ark, took out the stone tablets with the 10 Commandments, and instructed him to take a sample of the dried blood from the mercy seat. Nobody, not even the experts, could get a chromosome count from that dried blood. However, Wyatt claimed he took a sample of this blood, which according to regular science is supposed to be dead. But when he got it tested, it turned out to be human blood, though not like any blood you'd typically find naturally. Humans have 46 chromosomes, 23 from the mother and 23 from the father, making a complete set for a human. But it wasn't so for this sample, as it only had 24 chromosomes, 23 from the mother's side and 1 single Y chromosome. If this were a regular human, they couldn't have developed properly with just that 1 Y chromosome. According to Wyatt's story, during Christ's crucifixion, his blood flowed down onto the rocks and even onto the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant, sealing the deal on both the Old and New Covenants. There are verses in the New Testament that talk about this blood and water bearing witness to Christ's sacrifice. Wyatt tied all of this to the idea of evidence in a trial. He related this to the blood and water on the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant being the Father's proof to us, showing that his Son truly sacrificed himself for us. He believed this Ark, the throne of the living God on earth, would remain right where it is for eternity. According to him, it's God's way of proving to us that his Son indeed died for our redemption. Wyatt hinted at some future events involving a select group getting to see this evidence, but he veered off the traditional interpretation of the millennium.
saying things won't exactly unfold as most people think. Based on their stories, he emphasized the importance of seeking forgiveness, understanding the scriptures, and being prepared for what's to come. As the discussion turned towards a future revelation where the world will witness the ark's contents, including the tables of stone, bringing about a conclusion to the spreading of the gospel, there's a reference to a great conflict, a showdown between two groups, one adhering to God's commandments and the other yielding to a law that counters these commandments. The tension builds, hinting at this mark of the beast scenario where people have to choose between following human laws that contradict God's commands or sticking to God's laws and facing severe consequences from authorities. This pivotal moment, as suggested, might prompt a confession of sins in Jesus' name and adherence to the 10 Commandments for everyone on earth. However, not everyone believes all of these revelations by Ron Wyatt. Since there is no solid evidence to back his claims, they give rise to a lot of skepticism, and the search for the Ark of the Covenant remains a point of intrigue. In a recent announcement, a set of scientists made a compelling discovery in a simple cave that could offer alternative insights into the location of the sacred Ark. These archaeologists are exploring the ancient land of Kiriath Jearim, tracing the steps of the legendary Ark of the Covenant.
Entrance, they found a broken iron shaft driven into the escarpment by Roman guards to secure the stone that sealed the tomb. According to biblical accounts, a heavenly angel effortlessly moved this stone on resurrection morning, revealing the tomb's emptiness. The distance between this iron rod and the stone ledge measured 13 feet, suggesting the stone's massive size. Inside the tomb's first chamber, they found the weeping chamber to their left and a used crypt on the right, indicating where Christ rested after his crucifixion. The tomb's vicinity includes Golgotha, known as the place of the skull, and the garden tomb, reinforcing the biblical narrative of Jesus' crucifixion near a garden and tomb. Exploring further, they saw the limestone escarpment, likely the location of Golgotha, which bore Roman cutouts, horizontal slots, and a large cutout likely used for displaying signs during crucifixions. A fissure, or crack, running through the escarpment connected to these cutouts, possibly relating to the scriptural earthquake upon Christ's crucifixion. Now to the revelation of Ron Wyatt's discovery of the Ark of the Covenant. Although they didn't present any visual evidence, we know that Wyatt, renowned for earlier discoveries, claimed to have found the Ark, affirming its existence through his testimony. He recounted a chance encounter in Jerusalem leading to an unexpected conversation about archaeology and the Ark's possible location at Jeremiah's grotto. Wyatt initially went diving for chariot parts, but fate had other plans. He felt this calling, a sense that he was meant to be in Jerusalem, but what he thought he was supposed to do there was completely different from what ended up happening. So he was at home when he read about the city being surrounded by a single wall in 2 Kings 25. That's when he got a gut feeling, maybe even a supernatural nudge, that the Ark might just be in that very place. He started digging around this cliff wall, and lo and behold, he found the cutouts where they likely posted the sign, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." Then he discovered the crossholes right at the base of the cliff. It turned out that the area was an ideal spot for crucifixion. The Romans had picked it for its traffic, making it a more visible and impactful execution spot. Now Wyatt wasn't just randomly digging around. He had a permit from the Israel Antiquities Authority for this excavation, though it wasn't public knowledge due to the sensitive nature of the work. Critics questioned if he ever even worked there, but the evidence suggests otherwise. He had quite the team too, working both above and below ground. He also referenced the Book of Maccabees, which might not be a holy book per se, but it does have some historical nuggets. According to Jeremiah's prophecy of the legendary Ark of the Covenant, he hid some sacred items in a cave, and Ark itself isn't the expected find. The discoveries they're making are rewriting the narrative of the ancient Israelites and the very origins of Judaism. According to biblical accounts, the Ark was held in Kiriath Jearim for 2 decades before its relocation to Jerusalem. The team's findings shed fresh light on this pivotal period in history.
These revelations also challenge the traditional belief that King David was solely responsible for the transfer of the ark to Jerusalem. The biblical tale traces the journey of the ark from the tabernacle at Shiloh through the loss to the Philistines in a devastating battle. Interestingly, after facing plagues, the Philistines returned the ark to the Israelites, who then settled it in Kiriath-Jearim for a notable span of 20 years. The story continues with King David's initiative to transport the ark to Jerusalem, initially housing it in a tent and later in King Solomon's temple. But here's where the intriguing part surfaces. After this event, the biblical narrative curiously falls silent about the ark. Its absence from subsequent accounts of Judah and Israel's kings has puzzled experts like Thomas Romer, a prominent authority in Hebrew Bible studies. The mystery surrounding the ark remains ever intriguing, perhaps due to its supposed contents, the original stone tablets inscribed with the Ten Commandments. According to biblical lore, the ark possessed divine powers capable of empowering the Israelite armies or striking down those who dared to interact with it. Amidst the daily excavations, the archaeologists meticulously categorized their discoveries, from glass artifacts to animal bones and various small finds. Also, there's a jokingly labeled empty basket marked as the Ark. Though archaeologist Israel Finkelstein from Tel Aviv University isn't seeking the physical Ark, he aims to unravel its historical significance. He conducted digs at sites linked to the Ark's history, including Shiloh in the 1980s and now Kiriath-Jearim in partnership with the Collège de France. Finkelstein delves into the Ark narrative, a tale believed to have emerged around the 8th century BCE, which was later assimilated into the biblical texts, particularly in Samuel. He suggests that the account of David's relocation of the Ark to Jerusalem in 2 Samuel 6 might have been an addition to the original narrative that concluded at Kiriath-Jearim. But wouldn't that render Ron Wyatt's revelations a lie? According to these scientists, the authorship of the Bible remains a mystery, a compilation authored across diverse periods by different individuals. Texts attributed to David and Solomon likely surfaced much later than their lifetimes, possibly centuries afterward. Despite debates around the historical validity of figures like David and Solomon, archaeological evidence supporting the grand unified Israelite kingdom described in the Bible's 10th century remains scarce. The narratives depicting the opulent empire and Solomon's temple construction likely arose around the late 7th century BCE during King Josiah's reign. This period, nearly 3 centuries after the supposed Davidic era, saw the emergence of texts emphasizing Josiah's efforts to expand Judah's borders and centralize Jewish worship at the Jerusalem temple, eradicating other religious practices. Josiah's reign played a pivotal role in reshaping religious ideologies and practices within the region. Rumor speculates that it was Josiah who transported the Ark to Jerusalem to centralize both religious and political activities. According to him, the story about David relocating the Ark might have been a justification written by Josiah. This theory, Rumor argued, could explain the absence of further Ark-related tales, given Judah's subsequent fall to the Babylonians less than 3 decades after Josiah's reign. Interestingly, the Bible itself, in 2 Chronicles 35:3, seems to hint at Josiah's role in moving the Ark. The verse attributes instructions about placing the Holy Ark in the house built by Solomon to Josiah, not David. The ongoing excavation at Kiriath-Jearim, situated merely 12 kilometers west of Jerusalem, also provides additional evidence supporting the Josiah theory. This archaeological investigation marks the first comprehensive exploration of this biblical site, unveiling remnants spanning from the early Bronze Age to the Byzantine era. The latest excavation season at Kiriath-Jearim uncovered a substantial retaining wall approximately 3 meters thick and still standing at a height of 2 meters. Based on the surrounding pottery fragments, this wall appears to date back to the 8th or 7th century BCE. It served as foundational support for a leveled terrace atop the mound, a common architectural feature seen in Levantine settlements. Finkelstein noted that such terraces often hosted temples, indicating the potential existence of a significant religious center at the site. Christophe Nicole, an archaeologist from the Collège de France co-leading the Shmouni's family excavations at Kiryat Jearim, also highlighted the site's likely importance as a cultic center during the 8th or 7th century BCE. Finkelstein suggested the intriguing possibility of a rivalry between the temple at Kiryat Jearim and the one in Jerusalem. Despite Jerusalem's proximity, Kiryat Jearim, according to biblical records, was a Benjaminite town potentially associated with the northern kingdom of Israel that encompassed all the Israelite tribes except Judah. This suggests that during certain periods, Kiryat Jearim might have functioned as a border settlement connected to the northern kingdom, emphasizing a historical and religious context beyond mere geographical proximity. The archaeologist stated that the ancient rivalry between the Kingdom of Israel and Judah holds the key to understanding the movements of the Ark of the Covenant. Israel, a kingdom larger and mightier than Judah, often clashed with its southern neighbor until its downfall at the hands of the Assyrians in the late 8th century BCE. This event allowed Judah, particularly during Josiah's reign, to expand into regions like Benjamin, thereby securing its survival as one of the only tribes untouched by the Assyrian conquest. Archaeological findings indicate significant religious activities at Kiryat Jearim during periods following King David's alleged relocation of the Ark, but preceding King Josiah's efforts to bring the area under Jerusalem's dominion. References in the book of Joshua to Kiryat Jearim, also known as Kiriath Baal or Baala, suggest its connection to the worship of the Canaanite god Baal. This was an association frowned upon by biblical scribes during Josiah's time. This duality is echoed in 1 Chronicles 13:6, which mentions David's journey to Bala of Judah, which is Kiryat Jearim, to retrieve the Ark of God. If these hypotheses hold, it implies that the Ark of the Covenant, deeply entrenched in Jewish symbolism, resided in Jerusalem only in the final decades before the Babylonian invasion. Throughout most of its existence, the Ark likely dwelled at Kiryat Jearim and its earlier abode, Shiloh, situated in the northern West Bank. Surprisingly, during much of its history, the Ark might have been associated with religious practices vastly different from those of modern Judaism. The biblical verses asserting the Ark contained the tablets of the law are believed by these scientists to be relatively recent texts, possibly originating during King Josiah's era or even later. Additionally, the statement in 1 Kings 8:9, "There was nothing in the ark save the 2 tables of stone which Moses put there at Horeb," which is Mount Sinai, raises speculation that the 10 Commandments may have replaced something else. Early Israelites worshipped Canaanite deities like Baal and El, evidenced by 8th century Hebrew inscriptions found at a shrine in Kuntalet Adrud, northeast Sinai, aligning with both biblical subtext and archaeological discoveries. In its early conception, Yahweh wasn't the invisible universal deity seen in modern Judaism. Instead, worshippers depicted Yahweh as a bull or a seated god and revered a divine consort, Asherah. The Adrud inscriptions further indicate localized cults devoted to Yahweh of Samaria and Yahweh of Taman, suggesting a decentralized form of worship contrary to the centralized practice in Jerusalem. Romer's book, The Invention of God, delves into similar holy chests carried by pre-Islamic Arabs and Bedouins, which may have contained 2 sacred stones or deity statues. Drawing parallels, Romer speculates that the Ark initially housed statues representing Yahweh and Asherah, shedding light on a religious history vastly distinct from modern interpretations. So, if there are so many controversies surrounding the history of the Ark and its use in ancient times, who is to be believed? While the scientist's stance may seem more logical, religion has always been known to be more spiritual, leading to divisions in people's reactions to different perspectives on the location of the Ark of the Covenant. While more spiritual people tend to believe Ron Wyatt's revelations, critics and scientists are still digging, trying to find the truth about the history and content of the sacred Ark. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out another interesting video before you leave. Click on the link appearing on your screen right now, and we'll see you on the other side.